What is up, YouTube? Jamie the Kid00 here, coming at you guys with my first real deck profile of the new, I guess we can call it July 2015 format. Yeah, July 2015 format. And that is going to be the deck that Konami forgot. I'm going to be profiling Qliphort Turbo for you guys. I'm not going to pull any punches on this. This deck is absolutely ridiculous. I've only gotten to the stage at which I'm test handing this. I'm actually going to be playing it tomorrow for a local event. And if it's absolutely ridiculous, I'll report in. I might try and do some game recordings, but the games will probably only be about 2 minutes long. This deck is absolutely insane. For those of you who don't know what Qliphort Turbo is or does, it's essentially, or Towers Turbo, as other people call it. It's essentially what it says on the tin. Towers Turbo. Make towers, turn 1. Your opponent then has 6 cards with which to deal with it. And that's it. And if they don't, if you go first, then they haven't got any back row to stop you setting this up. They just have to make an out of those 6 cards, and usually, especially game 1, people just can't do that. And that's what this deck seems to thrive on. There is a lot of iterations of this. Essentially, it's a very draw-heavy deck, and when Chicken Race comes out, it's going to get even more consistent. But for the moment, this is what I'm working with. I've had to make a few kind of corner cuts on this. I only had 2 cephalopod and I only had 1 shell. I couldn't find any more shells for the life of me, so I've had to kind of work with that, but I've got most of the real component parts, so I'm here to show you guys the list that I've been working with. The extra deck is kind of relevant, but we'll get to that in a bit. So for the first time in ages, the extra deck in this is actually pretty relevant as well. All things considered with regards to Qliphort. I mean, you're going to be making this guy, but your extra deck does kind of become relevant. So, start off the monster lineup. We're playing double towers. I like the version that plays 2 towers, simply because having the second towers is an option in case your first one does actually get overrun. In all honesty, your opponent should never be able to overrun 2. That's all there is to it. If your opponent manages to make the Star Eater to out this, they're more than likely not going to be able to kill you in the same turn, and you can then just search another one or have a way around it, like, I don't know, getting a carrier on board, tributing it for this, and then having the carrier remove the Star Eater. Your opponent probably isn't going to have enough resources to remake that Star Eater, so that's why the second towers comes in handy. So, and same with things like Decisive Armor. It's going to take the Necros player quite a while to add that Decisive Armor back to hand and make a monster big enough to kill it. So, by that mentality, 2 towers is really quite relevant. For the normal monsters, we're playing double Monolith. I would honestly play 3, but I don't have 3 right now, so I'm making do with 2. You can make a really ridiculous play with Qliphort Disc and 2 of these, because, of course, normally it would bring out 2 1800 monsters, but if you go Disc and 2 of these, it's 48, 68... Can't do math to save my life. 76, which is almost game, which is crazy. So you got to consider that that's a thing. Then also, if you don't have any pendulum monsters on the board, you can then make, I don't know, you can make Volcasaurus. I'm talking out my ass now, but that's 76. We then play double Scout. Just Scout spin. A Scout is absolutely ridiculous. I wish I could play 3, but it's been hit on the list. We then play 3 Stealth. You're basically playing as many Qliphort as you can, and we're gonna kind of descend in levels. We're playing 4 8s. I would play 3 Shell if I had the second and third, but I don't have them for some reason. So 3 Stealth, 1 Shell, 3 Disc. This card's really important for just stocking up your extra deck, and it's really good in my list because I'm actually teching the 1 Laser Clip. And when Chicken Race comes out, Laser Clip gets even more relevant. But I'm playing the Laser Clip, which is pretty cool because you can go Tribute Summon this, Special 2, and then Tribute all 3 of them for towers, which you can do in 1 turn, and then you draw 5 off a Monolith, which is really, really, really good. So the 3 Disc, the 2 Cephalopod. This is really good against Burning Abyss because you don't lose to Barbar as hard. Because when they've got enough cards in their grave for Barbar to be worth using, you just go into your Cephalopod, you've usually got nothing in grave, and you can just trigger this effect to plus your life points by a huge amount if they've got like 20 in grave. So, Cephalopod, then we played 3 Helix, really, really cool. I really like Helix and, sorry, is it Helix that boosts my monster? Sorry, that reduces the opponent's monsters. Yeah, I really like Helix, and I think it's Disc that does the same thing, because you can make Ragnar Zero in this deck, and if Helix is, if you go like Ragnar Zero and then put this down on the Pendulum Zone, all your opponent's monsters' attack and defense change. so you can start Ragnar zeroing stuff for 3+s. So if you're in the grind situation and you can make Ragnar with this on the board, that's really cool. The 3 carrier, just to bulk up the Qliphort numbers, it's really good for removal on the board as well, even though that shouldn't matter because you're just going to make in towers. And then double trampolinks. I would play a third if I had a third, but for the moment I only have two cat, but these are really important because they let you use your tool or your scout multiple times. They let you access your extra deck because this doesn't have a special summon restriction. So yeah, that is all the monsters we play. I believe it's somewhere in the region of 24 monsters, but it's just huge amounts of just pendulum resource and wonderfully shiny, really nice artworky cards that make up just the apocalypse that is this card. So I can't believe Konami didn't touch this in any way, but oh well. We'll just have to main deck some tower outs because a lot of people are playing this deck. 2 people were at my locals with this today, and it was a really small locals. For the spells, I play 3 Wavering Eyes. This is the new card from Cross Souls, the Cross Souls Advanced Edition. It's in Dimension of Chaos or whatever it's called. I think is it Dimension of Chaos? Or Clash of Rebellion, sorry. It's in Clash of Rebellion, the next set for the TCG. This card is absolutely nutty. It's a fake read. I'm just going to read it because some people don't know what this does for some reason. Destroy as many cards in each player's pendulum zones as many cards as possible in each player's pendulum zones. Then apply these effects in sequence depending on the number of cards destroyed by this effect. Now, the 1 effect deals 500 damage. The 2 adds a pendulum monster from your main deck to your hand. That's any pendulum monster. The 3 effect lets you banish a card on the field, and the 4 effect lets you add another Wavering Eyes from your deck to your hand. Now, you will never use 3 and 4 unless you're playing a mirror match. And in the mirror match, this card becomes really dicey. It's a lot like Spellbook of Judgment was in the Spellbook Mirror, so the theory behind this card is a whole nother video in the mirror match. But when you're using this in your combo plays, you can go, it lets you stock up your extra deck, which is really important for making enough cards, for stocking up enough cards to pendulum summon this. You can go Scout, get a guy, put it in the pendulum zone, Wavering Eyes them both away, add another Scout, get a guy, or get the towers, and just it's entirely variant on your hand, but ultimately it lets you go Scout, get a guy, put them both in the extra deck, and then get another Scout, which is ridiculously good for, as I said, stocking your extra deck. So the triple Wavering Eyes is really good. Also, it lets you turn 2 of your dud pendulums into a Scout if you happen to just have kind of 2 pendulum guys, even if they're both the same scale. You just put them both down and put Wavering them away to get the Scout, and you've got a stocked extra deck. So Wavering Eyes is just so good, and the artwork is horrifying. It's almost as horrifying as Towers is to stare down. So Wavering Eyes. Then we play a lot of deck thinning and draw power. We're playing the 3 Summoners Art. I still need to find another super. For some reason, I only have 2. 3 Upstart Goblin, because, yeah, you want to thin the deck. 3 Into the Void. This card's really cool because of the fact that you can choose how cards activate in the end phase. So if you go Into the Void, and in the end of the turn you ditch your entire hand, you can then trigger Monolith after that, so you can draw a fresh hand. So say if you like Into the Void, empty your hand, and then you go end phase, I'll trigger Into the Void, I don't have any cards in hand, okay, that's the effect gone, okay, now I'll trigger Monolith and draw 3. Into the Void is actually a really good card in this deck. So that's all the multiples I play, and then I play 5 one-off spells at the moment, because the ratios just, I guess, dictate these. I'm testing 1 Laser Clip. It's kind of the one dud slow card in the deck other than Towers, but I mean Towers is the card we want to get to, but this is about the only card in the deck that doesn't progress us towards our game state, and honestly I'm okay with that, because it's really good for making advantageous plays, giving you that second normal summon in certain situations where you'd need it, and also giving you that negation prevention, because I mean once this hits board it's not going to get bottomless and things like that. The only thing you have to worry about is stuff like warning and other summon negators, so the Laser Clip works quite well with that, with regards to that. So we play the Laser Clip, we play the Sacrifice because it's a no-brainer. The card is ridiculously good, even though again it doesn't really contribute directly to the actual play of the deck. It's really quite useful just for kind of upping the number of tributable stuff. Also, if you don't have the 3rd Qliphort to put down, you can just add Sacrifice to one of your 2, and then it still gives you enough 3 tributes for your towers, so that's something you can do. We then play the 1 Trade-In and the 1/7 Sword, playing 4 8s and 5 7s, so you're usually going to be able to get a target for these 2. If I had more 8s, I'd probably cut this for another trade-in, but at the moment, because of the numbers I have in the deck, I'm playing 1 and 1. You should only ever play 1 copy of this card as well, because of the fact that you only have... this can only be activated once per turn, so while I respect that Sacred Sword has gone to 3 now, you should only ever play 1, regardless of how many 7s you're playing, because you're aiming to draw through your deck as fast as possible, turn 1, and your deck becomes dead if you draw this, so... And then we play the 1/1 Day of Peace. This is the 4th Upstart Goblin. I think this is a really, really good card in the deck, especially seeing as you're meant to be going first a lot of the time. So you can just make your play. Like, you don't really mind giving your opponent an extra card, because it's more than likely not going to be enough to get over the towers. And again, if you're going first, you don't care about your opponent not taking any damage, because you're not going to be attacking anyway. So there's the 1 day. And that rounds out the complete main deck. It should be 40 cards exactly if my math was correct. I'm pretty sure I counted it before the video because I've made that mistake before, but that said, you know, don't trust me on everything. For the extra deck, the 1 Giant Hand, this is somewhat relevant because it's the only effect negation monster you can special summon from your extra deck. So plonking this down in defense next to this guy is pretty intimidating. So, Giant Hand... Exciton Knight, board clearance, really good. Abyss Dweller, it's just really solid against the Doll matchup. I mean, there's better cards, but Dweller's a card that you can play. 101 Honor Arc, really strong with the Vanity's Emptiness that I extra deck. Rhapsody, really good against Necros. Rebellion, Xyz Dragon, just a really variable card, really strong at getting over big attack threats. Ragnar Zero, Diamond Direwolf, not sure how I feel about Direwolf, might see this come out for something else. Castell, Kane Gorgon, really, really strong card for the MST. Gaga Cowboy, Burn Damage Yo, Heartland Draco. I've won games with this card in the past, so it kind of has a soft spot in my heart in this deck. So Heartland Draco is something that I think is going to stick in this deck. We're then playing the Durendal, the Volcasaurus, and the Gaia Charger. And I've just realized, actually, that there's been a fundamental flaw in how I've built this extra deck, because for some reason I put something else in my Necros extra deck. So for the purposes of this video, I'm actually going to make an immediate change in the video. Please do cut that Direwolf. And in all honesty, you can probably do away with this Heartland Draco, as much as I said it has a soft spot. You need to be playing these two as well. The Tellarknight Ptolemaeus and the Stel Cavalier Constellation Diamante. These two need to be played. This is purely for the Shaddoll matchup and the Burning Abyss matchup. It's so strong that you it's so strong to have in the extra deck that you need to be playing it. I don't understand how I missed it there, but I mean, call it my just evening tiredness, I guess. But this is ridiculous. The Durendal is really, really strong. Negating certain effects is always great fun. And the Volcasaurus just for pushing damage when you've got 2 monoliths, or two of the normal monsters on the board, essentially, because they're both 5s. It's really, really strong. And of course you need the Gaia Dragon to go over this, to just make massive damage pushes. But yeah, guys, most of this should never come up, but your extra deck is there in case you need it. It's that 1% option. But yeah, that brings us to about the end of this this here deck profile for Towers Turbo. The deck is absolutely insane. I don't understand why Konami has really left it so, like, didn't touch Qliphort at all. I mean, it took a couple of Euros spots. I mean, it did lose to certain things, but a lot of the time the deck lost to itself, and that's kind of concerning when a deck with an 80 to 85 tower rate loses to itself. You know, it's kind of concerning that deck probably only lost because probability was against it. But you know, it's kind of concerning, because I mean, I'm just gonna go do a quick test hand while we shuffle this up here. But if we should realistically be able to make towers turn 1, because I mean, we have a hand of mono, helix, disc, towers, stealth. Actually, that's like the one bad hand we could have had. I jinx it, like I just jinx it straight off the bat. We actually can't do anything with that hand. I mean, the trade-in is nice if we go second, but I think, like, I just jinxed it. Oh well. There's how it lost in Euros. I hope you guys have enjoyed. This has been Jamie the Kid 00. Feel free to give this video a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more of the same. Comment down below if there's anything you want to say about this profile. You probably want to call it degenerate, but it is what it is. Yeah, share this with your friends if you think they'd benefit from it, or if you want to make them rage out at the state of the game. But yeah, this has been Jamie the Kid 00. Peace out. Bye-bye.